What's up, everybody? It's your boy JR Lee, and I'm back for another special exclusive episode of the Fly on the Wall Show. And today we're joined by the legendary author, filmmaker, content creator, serial entrepreneur, barber. The list goes on. Mr. Kenyatta Griggs, aka the hip hop motivator, Kenyatta. For the people who may not know who you are, can you tell us a little about yourself and what it is that you do, sir?
Well, what I do is, like I said, I'm a barber by trade, and I've created some products up under my brand called Hip Hop Motivation to shed some light on some things that were left in the dark on purpose for people that are part of the culture of hip hop. And I did a podcast series before the podcast name was really big with Dame Dash, hip hop motivation videos that we did for over 6 years. I did that for a while, and I'm an author, I'm a father and a teacher. So, anything that I learned and that I've obtained on my journey, I feel it's my need to circulate that back to the people. So basically, I'm just a vessel to be used by the Most High.
Absolutely. I received that, man. That's powerful, man. We all put on this earth to serve and to connect with others. And I see you wearing that hat, man. Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I'm in LA. Yeah, I'm from LA. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's talk about LA a little bit. How has LA, what's it like growing up in LA? How has that kind of crafted your direction as far as adulthood and your brand as well?
Well, growing up in LA, I came up in the '80s. It was pretty cool. I come from a tight knit family. I had school teachers in my family, so we were really pretty much on education and doing what's right when it comes to school. But for the most part, it was beautiful growing up in LA, man. We did a lot of different things. The light side was beautiful. The dark side is that, you're going to get asked where you're from. It's a heavy gang culture, especially in the 80s. And so, it's no wonder a lot of men in Los Angeles that are in their late 30s and early 40s had PTSD, some in their 50s as well. Because it's gang culture, so it's a lot of different things that used to take place, just random, for a lot of people that grew up in LA, from certain murders and just being around that element to where you're just always on guard. You have to pay attention to your surroundings at all times and then what color you were wearing back in the day. It's not so much like that as much as it used to be now. I'm so far removed from that element. But I know at one time the color thing was really a big deal. You're gonna get asked where you was from. I grew up in the Slauson Crenshaw area, which is also known as the Rolling 60s, where Nipsey Hussle and all the marathon crew was from. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I mean, it was beautiful growing up in LA, man. I have no complaints. You know what I'm saying? Just like any child growing up, and just thankfully that I had school teacher aunties. So in the summertime, they were all about the children and we did a lot of different things. So it was cool, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. We hear about, I'm originally from Florida. I live in Georgia right now. Right. I haven't been to LA yet. And the most I can really hear about LA is through just music, through the depictions of others. How have you been able to narrate and depict your own version of LA and your own story? How have you been able to take your own narrative into your own hands?
Well, for the most part is, like anywhere, like any hood all over the world, just minding your business should be at the forefront of everything,
Absolutely.
Paying attention to your surroundings, but minding your own business is a part of paying attention to your surroundings, you know what I'm saying? And just staying on point, and knowing what's going on and where you're at, educating yourself on what's going on around you. I tell people, it's beneficial not only to know the positive, but it's also beneficial to know the negative, the things going on around you, because, all knowledge, helps you come into a form of better wisdom, which is movement, your actions you take. So, I'd say study both sides of the fence, and it helps you to understand where you're at and, protect yourself in certain elements, you know what I'm saying? And then when you go to the element where it's not so harsh or so aggressive, you're able to survive in that element easier than anywhere else. Like, me and Dane talk about in the Culture Vultures book, it's like when you come from the street reality and then you go into the corporate world, the corporate world is like child's play damn near to the street element, because the street element comes with some real consequences if you're not paying attention to your surroundings. Definitely.
Absolutely, definitely. Pay attention to your surroundings and mind your business, like you said. Mind your business.
Oh yeah.
I know early on in the conversation, you said you're a barber by trade. How did you get it? How did you get into the barber industry, and how has barbering branched off into other things as well?
Well, the barbering thing came sort of like an accident. I had, it was like one of those things. My mother, she couldn't afford to give me a haircut every week.
Yep.
And so I had like the school teacher auntie I'm telling you about, my Aunt Betty. She heard the conversation I was having with my mother when I was asking her for some money for the barbershop, so I can get my haircut. And, she heard the conversation more than once. So at this point, my Aunt Betty asked me to take a ride with her to the store. And we pulled up at a store called Service Merchandise. To make a long story short, she bought some clippers. At that time, when she was in the store buying the clippers, I didn't know she was buying them for me. I thought she was buying them for my Uncle Phil. Yeah. And when we got in the car, she handed me the clippers and told me to learn how to cut my own hair and learn how to keep myself groomed. She felt that, she said every young man should learn how to groom themselves. And I was like, well, I don't know how to cut hair, because at that time I was probably about, I think I was like 11, 12. I was like, I don't know how to cut hair. When you like, you giving me some clippers, like, what am I going to do with these? And she said, well, you have to learn. And she handed me $20 and dropped me off at the barbershop after that. And so she told me she would take the clippers home. And then from there, I started going around all of my haircuts, just maintaining myself and paying attention to like what my barber was doing in the shop. And I learned that I had the skill, and I started cutting like my people in my family, a lot of my homeboys, went from there, cutting kids. And then as the word got around that I knew how to cut, people were coming through, what I'm saying, and allowing me to cut their hair all through junior high school. I wasn't really charging that much, but I felt like at that time, now that I look back on it, it was sort of like it was like me learning the stage of, it was just a stage of a learning process I had to go through, in order to develop my skills as a barber before I really started charging on a professional level. It's like an internship. That's what I was looking for. Absolutely. My mother, she used to be like, oh, you should be getting paid, because I was cutting hair well. I was cutting hair good, but she was like, at least get something. So I would charge $5 here and there.
Yeah.
From there, just my skills developed. I went to beauty college. I didn't go to barber college. I went to beauty college because I heard that in order to get on sets and do entertainers, you had to have a cosmetology license. And so because of that, I went to cosmetology school, finished. I passed my state board test. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. And I started working on the shop on Crenshaw. And when I was like 20 years old, being a young father, I had to get my hustle up. I had my son when I was 19, and I stayed focused on, building my clientele, and not knowing that in the process of, me being a young father, that it was going to be beneficial in the long run, because it taught me to get there at a certain time during the day, be organized in my daily routine of being there from 8 to 5, passing out my cards, doing all this stuff, because, I started off at zero, like a lot of people in business. I grew up in LA, but I didn't go to high school in LA. Yeah. So I moved around a lot as a kid. So I had to build my clientele brick by brick. And so starting from zero, and then seeing myself going from making, some days would make zero, saying not a dime, to making $1,000 in a day at a barbershop. Saying? That was like, a little perplexing to me, saying? After I started looking back over it, it was like, well, with anything you grind on and you stay with it, and you keep working towards it, becoming the best version of yourself, whatever it is, you're gonna succeed eventually. And that's what I learned from that process, definitely.
Absolutely, man. You just gave me a lot. I want to break all down you said, but you just gave me a lot, man. One of the important things that you said first was that your auntie, I believe you said, she helped you learn to do for self, right? To be self-sufficient. Right. How important is it, not only as a father, as a teacher, as a businessman, how important is it to learn how to be self-sufficient, do for self?
Well, that's the most important aspect of all of our lives, is to, be self-motivated, first and foremost. Like, sometimes, you know, we get into a place where we get stuck or we're in a dark area in our lives. And that's where people like my Betty come in and say, hey, you know, do for self, or they motivate you to do a different thing or take a different direction on your life's journey. And we need that as well. But to be self-motivated is very important. And we have to get into a place of, you know, understanding who we are as people first and foremost. And we get those jewels from being by ourselves and getting silent and, you know, just connecting our livelihoods and our life path with what we really love to do. You know, some people that love sports, for instance, doesn't necessarily mean they'll be in the NBA or be in the NFL or play golf professionally. But there's other avenues you can take to surround yourself in those sports if that's what you're into. You know, like if you like video games, you know, there's different things you can do to up your game on that. You know, you can start a podcast, and like today, you can start a podcast and buy video games at first, talk about the video games and rate them as you play them. And then after a while, you get these companies, they'll start sending you stuff to rate their games.
That's a gem right there. It's a masterclass you just dropped just now.
Right. I mean, it's just, it's so easy today to really be successful. Way more than it used to be. You know, it's always been one of those things where you have to put your mind to it. You have to, you know, make sure you have willpower and you stay focused on what you're doing. But today, there's so many avenues a person can take to become successful. And it can be right from your living room, right from your home, like how we're doing this interview right here, you know, my office and wherever you're at, you know, so
absolutely
ways of doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, let's change the conversation a little bit. Now that, you know, you mentioned success right now, you know, one of the questions I like to ask all my guests when they come on this show is what's their definition of success, right? And I know that in your movie that you created, Secrets to Balling, you asked that very important question, like about success. Let's talk about that a little bit. What inspired you to go around for your film, Secrets to Balling, and figuring out what is success in these different people's point of view?
Good question. Well, the first thing is that the Secret of Balling was connected to my first project called Think and Ball Out. Think and Ball Out is an audio book that I did back in the day with a guy named Henny the Business. He's a producer today, and he does he did All the Girls Around the World for Young Money. He did Strip for Chris Brown, a lot of different joints, you know what I'm saying? Yes, very, very, very dope producer. And at the time, I didn't know how to write a book. And so because I didn't know how to write a book, I just thought the next best thing for me to do was be to record, you know, what I come up with. And so that's what we did. And connected to that project, Think and Ball Out, is a segment called The Secret to Balling, where I interviewed Dame Dash. The first people I interviewed for that segment was 3 6 Mafia. I was going to use 3 6 Mafia, and they gave me the interview. You know what I'm saying? Those are good dudes. But I had to go through lawyers to get that clear. Lawyer never did get back to me in time. And so I just left it alone because I didn't have a name for myself at that time. So as far as, you know, on that level, you know, because they wanted to clear the interview, which is understandable. But Dame, he gave me the interview and he just said, come on, just use it. And I used it, and it was called The Secret to Balling, and a lot of people liked that interview. Anyone that's ever heard my project, they love that interview. It's like a 17-minute interview where Dame talks about, you know, the success of Roc-A-Fella and how they started. This is pre-hip-hop motivation videos, like many years before that, because he had moved. He was living in LA, and then he moved back to New York, so he wasn't out here for some years. And so from there, I began to do my own census on what makes one successful and what success is to the average person. And the interesting thing about success that I found is that it's a personal journey based on inner happiness. You know, it's like something that, you know, there's some people that are mechanics and they wouldn't be happy being a barber because their passion is cars. There's some people that are beauticians that wouldn't be happy being a dentist because their passion is hair. They, you know, it's about that inner passion. It's about what your calling is based on what you really truly love to do and who you are as a person. But a lot of times we get mixed up with calling, and then we mute our calling and go towards more monetary resource.
Yes, absolutely.
Money, or we put money before our calling.
Right.
And a lot of times when we do that, it begins to slowly mute who we really are and what we really truly have within ourselves that we need to bring out and as a service to humanity, because success to me is based on service. It's not about money. It's about service, because, you know, even if you go through the drive-through at McDonald's, that's a service. You know, no job is minuscule or small to me. Everyone has a path, and everyone has different steps and levels to get to where they need to go in life. Right. And some people, you know, they, like I said, they mute that path based on money, right. You know, but it's all about service. Right. The word money throws us off because we think that, oh, I got to chase this, I got to do that. No, you just have to develop and understand what your service is, who you're serving, and what your service is first, and then pay attention to what people you will be serving or what types of people, and then take it from there, because it's all about service. Everything we do is a service. This interview will be of service to someone.
Absolutely.
You know, hopefully, right.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering that. And I agree with that, man. Oftentimes, you know, they say money is the root of all evil, but that's not true. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's the attention, right? It's what you're going to do with the money, or what expectation that's attached to money. And, you know, I can speak for myself. Oftentimes, you know, it's so easy to deter your vision because of maybe lack of money or lack of resources. And then you start doubting your purpose. But if you don't put the expectation of money, then you have a clearer sight. Right. And, you have an interesting journey. I know you said that you didn't do the traditional barber school. You did cosmetology school because of the idea that you'll be able to go on sets. What was the thinking behind that? Did you already know that you wanted to be able to go on to these different sets and be able to do all these different things?
Well, you know, for me, it was, I definitely wanted the world to see my work, because I knew like my skills were on that level. And I was really passionate, always passionate about what I'm doing, regardless of what it is. And I think for any barber or beautician out there, and they might be able to agree with me on this, everybody wants their work to be seen, you know, especially when you get to a level where your skills are up to par, to where your clientele is up there, and then people are actually seeking your business and your service, your service, you know, to look a certain way. Like, who wouldn't want to put a cut on someone on TV, a movie, or whatever, you know, like one of these rappers or whatever on their album cover? You know, that was always my focus. And that focus came from me just paying attention to the haircuts I saw on the covers of many albums from the 80s and 90s. Like one album in particular that really made me embrace the barbering game and really going to it full fledged was when I saw the All For One album cover by Brand Nubian. And I saw how precise Grand Puba's haircut was on the cover of that album. Another one was, you know, seeing Big Daddy Kane, like his flat top and how sharp it was. Yeah. You know, Nas in the 90s when I was in high school, watching Nas and seeing that he always had a precision lineup and his cut was on point. And so this is what I come from. You know, I come from the era of, you know, you wanted your shoes to be on point, you wanted your haircut to be on point regardless. You know, that was those are the two most important, first and foremost. After that, clothes and everything else. But your shoes had to be on point. Haircut, yep. You wanted your haircut to be on point. So, you know, and so that was what really inspired me to become a better barber. You know, before I went to barber school, before I went to cosmetology school, when I was still a young cat in high school, junior high, seeing those album covers and seeing how people got down as far as like the importance of having a dope fade. And I was like, yo, I gotta cut people on that level. That's the level I want to get to, you know. So it was like not impossible to me to get there. You know, and at that time when I was seeing those covers, I was in North Carolina, you know, far removed from LA. You know, I have my father's family's in North Carolina, and I was living in Cleveland. I lived in Tennessee, Jackson, Brownsville, you know, and so I just didn't see it as impossible. I saw it as, you know what I'm saying, I've always felt like I had the confidence to do it, you know, and that confidence came from me getting certain things and certain jewels dropped on me in my formative years, because the formative years are the most important times of our lives. You know, I didn't get told that I couldn't do anything. I didn't get told that I wasn't shit, or that, you know, because my mom and dad weren't together, you know, your dad ain't shit. So if you're telling the kid their dad ain't shit or their mom ain't shit, you're telling the child only half of them is right. No, you want the child, and you want that person to be a whole person as they coming up. And so I'm just thankful that my mother, as well as my father, kept me whole during my formative years in order for me to get to the level I'm at today.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Thank you so much, man. And you know, I'm a firm believer that you can serve your way. Like, I'm all about service. I'm a firm believer that you can serve your way to success. You can use your skills to become successful, right? I know a guy, somebody that changed my life. His name is Charlie Rocket. He talked about how he went from being Soulja Boy's manager and getting fired, right, to being, you know, 2 Chainz's manager and Travis Porter, Young Dolph's manager. But he started off being service. How have you been able to use like your gifts and your skills, even being a barber, to you know, impact your success? How's that open doors for you?
Man, like when you look at The Secret of Balling,
Yes,
that is a prime example of what my skills have brought me into, because each of those people that I met on that film, and then there's a lot more, of course, but each of those people are connected to me barbering, connected to my service that I was providing, from Method Man to Redman to, you know, of course, not with Faith Evans and Kelly Rowland, but with them, that's still connected to me being a barber and me just having a service that was thorough enough for people to trust my judgment. You know, the first day I cut Chris Brown, which is connected to the movie, was that I asked him, you know, he was trying to pay me, and I told him, like, nah, don't give me the money. You know, I'm doing a movie called The Secret of Ball, and I would love for you to give me an interview on, you know, your success secrets and what you've learned on your journey. You know, where most people were telling me, like, oh, you're gonna interview Chris Brown, he just had a situation with Rihanna, he did this and that. But to me, you know, just like the Will Smith thing that just took place, we all on our journey will make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And the name of the game is to learn from these mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And to just grow from these things, you know? And so I never believed that Chris Brown wasn't right to be in my movie because he had a situation with Rihanna, you know, because that's called a mistake, you know what I'm saying? And you have to take it over, you know what I'm saying? You have to learn from your mistakes, and we all will. I have, shit, you will, you know. And that's the name of the journey, is to continuously learn from different things that are brought in front of us, you know. And our relationships are really just revelations of who we are, you know. All of our relationships, friendships, they really teach you valuable lessons of where you're at and who you are as a person. It's not really for you to see the person, it's for you to see yourself within your relationships. And so when I interviewed Chris Brown, you know, he just gave it to me. He was like, he still paid me, and I didn't want to take the money, and I felt funny about it. He's like, nah, here, take that. He kind of threw the money kind of at the table at me. He was like, nah, I'm gonna do the interview. And then when he said he was gonna do the interview, at first I was like, well, you know, I didn't know him at that time. I didn't really know him. So, you know, people throw shit at you all the time and say, oh, yeah, I'll do the interview. And
I got you.
Yeah, I got you. And then sometimes, you know, they be like, well, just hit my manager, and they'll let you know.
Yeah.
So
the gatekeepers.
I hit his phone. He told me where he was at. And he pulled up on me and my team, and we got the interview. That's simple. But barbering and just being of service, and then it doesn't necessarily, like people listening, it doesn't necessarily have to be barbering. You can be a chef.
It could be anything.
You can be a seamstress. You can be a, you know, it's
have value.
Add value and understand the service you're providing, and you will meet people on your journey that possibly can change your life, and you can change theirs. You know what I'm saying? It's what it is, man. It's about service. It's not about money. It's about service.
It's about service. And, you know, one of the biggest things that you did, though, it was like you asked. So most people, they'll never get to that thing because we're too afraid to ask. It's the big ask, right? You say, hey, it's okay. I don't need the money, but can you do my movie? Can I interview? And he could either say yes or he could either say no, but you ask. And so for people out there that may be like just afraid to even get to that step to ask, overcoming that fear, you know, fear of rejection, yes or no, what's some tips that you would give to overcome that fear?
Well, for me, you know, it's crazy because even people in my team, like when we were doing the movie, they would ask me, like, damn, you just asking people to do this and they doing it. Well, you know, my whole process,
I asked you.
It's like, you know, I mean, you know, it says, you know, ask, and you'll get the answers if you ask these questions, you know, if you ask certain questions, even if, you know, it seems like, I don't know, for me, I would have to say like a lot of that came from, like, again, from the formative years of being able to ask my mother and father any question I need to ask them without rejection, without feeling stupid or crazy because I'm asking something about a woman's period or you know, something sexually, or you know what I'm saying. My mom, she didn't shake me off and be like, oh, stop asking me that, or stop, I don't want to talk to you, but she didn't do that to me. You know, and I know some people went through that process growing up, but for me, fortunately, I didn't go through that. So I didn't have a fear of people. I didn't have a fear of asking questions, whether it was my teacher, my parents, whoever. And so, and then when I got in my 20s, I was out there hollering at girls the same exact way. Like if I saw someone I liked, I walked up to them and I, you know, introduced myself. And if they weren't interested, I didn't internalize their disinterest. I didn't internalize the fact that they said no, because no is like, to me, someone saying no is a form of, you just help me not make a fool of myself further pursuing someone that doesn't like me or want me. Okay, I'm all right with that. You know, and I learned that, Jewel, from my father. And so it's like, you know, don't feel nothing about somebody saying no, because no just means they're not on the same frequency or path as you right now. And that's okay. And that's all right. Way before I knew about frequency and path, I got that gem and I connected it to the law of vibration, which states that everything moves, everything has a certain frequency. You know, the things that we saw when we were younger, we don't really see anymore because that frequency is not where we're at any longer. And then the things that we did see when we were younger, we see now. You know, there's certain things that we hear different now and feel different. It's like listening to certain music. Some stuff that you listen to when you was younger, you're like, yeah, this is great. And then when you fall back as a grown man, you're like, damn, he talking about murder and death and killing and this and that. And the beat is banging and you still might like the MC that's rapping, but you like, damn.
Those words, man.
Look at the shit that's pumping in the brain all day long. Like, look, his whole album is talking about this, you know what I'm saying, or her album, you know. And so in saying that, is saying that the way to build your confidence up is that you have to take a shot, you know, like
take a shot.
Like just look at it like basketball or any sport, you know, you have to take a shot. You have to put yourself forward and try it and start, because if you don't, you'll never know the greatness that lies within you. You know what I'm saying? You would just be sitting dormant, waiting on somebody to knock on your door, and that's not the way it works. You got to make moves. You got to get out there and politic with people, ask questions, see what's good, you know. And this is like the same technique I use. Like, again, I used when I was in the streets hollering at women, you know, when I was younger. I don't do that anymore, you know, because I have a different frequency of understanding about young ladies when they come to that now than I did when I was in my 20s at the club hanging out. You know, back in the day, it was just like, shit, I walk up to a table with mamas sitting there, aunties. I didn't care about a crowd of girls. I was one of those people. So, you know, it's just, you got to become a fool with what it is you want to pursue. You know, and some people call it foolishness because they like, damn, you crazy. You got to get crazy. You got to be like literally like a crazy person. Like, I don't care if they tell me no. I don't care about no. Stop caring so much about no, because no is not the worst. No is not the worst thing you can hear.
And sometimes no, this means not right now, or just try again. I'm busy right now. Try again, bro.
Bro, you gotta live by the mantra. Things don't happen to you; they happen for you. So there's a reason why that no came forth, you know. And so it's because that person may waste your time.
That's true.
That young lady may be wasting your time. You done spent all this money taking her out, dates, and all this stuff. And I don't recommend doing all that, making all that type of investment for men and young men out here, because you know, you don't know. Get to know the person first. See if this is somebody that you want to invest in, because everything you put forth, your conversation is an investment. You know, you might not want to invest in this person. They might be helping. They might be blocking you from wasting your time. You know, so I just believe in the God frequency. Everything is based on frequency. And the people that were supposed to be in the secret of balling are in the secret of balling. And those that aren't, no harm, no foul. They just wasn't supposed to be in it. It wasn't the time.
Absolutely. And, you know, while we're talking about, you know, like taking shots and not being afraid of no, while I have you here to face, you know, I just want to talk about a time where I took a shot. I took a lot of shots, man. I'm a shoot. But I remember a few years ago, fresh out of college, depressed, not knowing what I wanted to do, you know, just started this marketing thing. I seen Culture Vultures pop up. I seen you and Dame doing your thing. And I said, damn, I'm trying to learn how to make flyers. Let me make a flyer real quick, man. I made a quick flyer and I sent it to you, man. And you posted it, reposted it, and you used it for your master class. And for me, you probably don't know how much it impacted me at that moment.
I
But
didn't
for
even know
me, it
that was
was,
you, brother. I didn't even know that was you. That's crazy, man. Oh,
yeah,
appreciate
man.
that. Yeah, I
That
didn't even
was
know that was
me,
you.
man. That was like 2019, bro. And for me, that
2019. Word.
2019, 3 years later, full circle, right? Before I
Right.
had an idea for a podcast. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, that was like, damn, like first you said yes and you reposted and you used it and you tagged me. And
Right.
for me, it was just like, that was very, like, for me, that was like, man, just keep trying. Like the worst that can happen is they say no. You can be
Yeah.
left on red. It
Right.
ain't gonna hurt you. It's social
Because some people
media.
don't check. Some people don't check their DM. Some people will
Some
see it, and
people,
what people don't understand is like sometimes people see text messages, or they might get a message and then the phone rings, and then they
yep,
forget all about it. And
yep,
but we take so many things personal in this day and age.
yeah,
It's ridiculous. But man, I remember that. That's dope, man. I didn't even
yes,
know that
sir.
was you. Word.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All
Yes,
right. Yeah.
sir.
I didn't know that was
Absolutely,
you.
man. Absolutely, man. But again, man, thank you so much for that, bro. And speaking
Absolutely.
about culture vultures, is there going to be a part two? I remember you
Right.
said you was working on the book, the second book. Is there going to be another book coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on part two right now.
Yes,
It's
sir.
crazy. I just talked to the lady this morning that's helping me do some editing stuff. So
Okay.
we're working on it, man. I'm working on that. Dame is in the game with everything we're doing, of course, and so we moving, man. I had a few things I had to like situate with my own personal life,
Of course.
being a single father. But
Of
other than that,
course.
man, I've been working. I've been working.
Of
It's
course.
been good. Yeah,
Of course. Of course. Of course, man. And I know you got a whole collection of books. I know one
yeah,
of your most recent books is your children's book,
right,
My Barber Hands Stink. Let's talk a little
right.
bit
On
about
hygiene.
that and the importance
Yeah,
of hygiene. Let's talk a little bit
yeah.
about that.
Right. Well, yeah, I wrote that. It's crazy. I wrote that as an in between. I did it because I gave myself a challenge to put
Yes,
together a
sir.
children's book because like I never thought to do one. And I said, what, let me do a children's book through hip hop motivation and just name the company Hip Hop Motivation Kids. And I just based it around the things that were important for me growing up, which is hygiene. I come from a mother and a father that were up on their hygiene game. My dad, when he got manicures and pedicures, he took me to the shop with him when he get his hair cut and when he got his nails done, his feet done, and had me sitting next to him getting mine done. So I
Yes,
come
sir.
from a place of, keeping yourself up, self-care. Self-care is very important with my two
Self-care is the
kids.
best care. Absolutely.
So I learned that added to my confidence on whatever level I was on. And so, because real confidence is within you. It's not on the outside of you, but these outside
Mm,
properties are things you have to take care of and keep together, keep up in order to be a better vessel that connects with people, because people look at how they pay attention to what you look like. They pay attention to your shoes and your clothes and your hands and how your face is looking, keeping your skin up and all these different things. So when I wrote the book, I came with that same politic to give that to children, because again, the formative years is where we do all of our real learning.
yes, sir.
That's it. Anything that you don't know or do know, or anything that you do as far as your own personal relationships that's rather positive and negative, came from your formative years. And we
Absolutely.
got to get people back into understanding that value. And that's why I came with my barber's hand stinks, to give children a better understanding of like the first care of self-care. That's the first important thing that people want to come into contact with, because like as a child, if you're not keeping yourself up, in this day and age, there's a lot of bullies. It's always been bullies. It's always been people, talking mess and clowning and doing this and that. But I don't care if your shoes are old, keep those old shoes clean. There's things you can do.
Absolutely.
Take those laces out. I was one of those kids where I was taught to take your laces out every Sunday, wash them up a Saturday and let them hang out, and then lace them back up, you know, clean your shoes, keep them on point every day. You shouldn't be walking around with mud on your shoes. You shouldn't be
For
going to
sure.
school with a wrinkled shirt. And so that's what I'm implementing in that book. My barber's hand stink is to teach kids, just to keep yourself up, pay more attention to yourself, and not rush and to get out the door to go back to the video game. And so I did it. And I actually liked the book once I started, once I
Yeah.
started getting into it. I was like, it wasn't really an aspiration of mine at first. It's just something I
Yeah.
wanted to challenge myself and do. And I got with a guy named Top Dog, who I don't know if you guys remember, but Death Row, when Snoop left and Tupac, after Tupac was killed, they had a rapper named Top Dog. on
Top
Death
dog.
Row. He had a song called Cinderfella, Cinderfella, something like that
Okay.
back in. He's a profound artist, and he's the one who drew all the pictures for the book. Yeah, Top Dog, definitely. Shout out Top Dog.
Shout out
Yeah,
Top Dog, man. And you know,
yeah,
speaking about Top, well, thank you so much for breaking down the book for me, man. But you know,
right.
speaking about Top Dog and you know, just all the different artists and people that
Mm-hmm.
you've been able to work with,
Mm-hmm.
where did that love for music come from? Like, was that like, did you want to be an artist? Was music always a part of you? Like, where did your love for music come from?
Man, like my father, he had a extraordinary album collection when I was growing up.
Yeah,
You know, there was always music in the house. You know,
yeah,
my family, like my mom, she likes to dance and go to clubs and hang out and have fun. You know, my father was the same. You know, they were very much in the party life. They
yeah,
loved that lifestyle. You know, when people would come over, there was always music playing. And so from there, you know, I just I embraced music, man. I love
yeah,
all types of music. But
yeah,
growing up with hip hop, you know, anyway, and I'm sure there's other brothers that can vouch for this. If you was born from 65 up to, I would say 1985, baby, you actually grew up with hip hop. You was a little
yeah.
kid, hip hop was little. And so for me being, you know, I'm 46 right now. I'll be 46 in June.
You
I
young,
grew
man.
I grew up with hip hop. To me, you know, like as hip hop was growing, I was growing, and everything was hip hop, from dancing, the dressing, the everything. And so
Everything.
I was a hip hop fanatic, you know what I'm saying? And then like when I grew up in certain impoverished episodes in my life, when you know, with my mother, when we was coming up where the lights wasn't on, I had
Yeah,
batteries and I had a Walkman, you know what I'm saying? And I
yeah,
remember one day, it's a funny story. I was in Tennessee, and I was in a grocery store. And I was up at the magazine spot, you know, I probably was reading Word Up magazine or something, you know, the popular
yeah.
magazines back in the day. And I looked on the ground, and it was like a $20 bill.
Whew.
So I went, I said, damn, I'm like, yo, you know what? I went and bought me a pack of batteries, which was about $7. And I went across the street it was a record store that used to be right across the street in Jackson from the shopping center. And I
Yeah,
bought a tape, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. It had just came out. And I was like, man, and I didn't have no more money left after that. Because it
yeah,
was like, you know, and at that time, my mom wasn't really having a lot of money, and it was like, you know,
yeah,
hard times or whatever. But my love for music and hip hop was like, it just put me in a mindset like, let me
yeah,
go buy this tape. You know what I'm saying? I found
yeah.
a dub, I found 20. Oh my
So
God, boom, that's a big deal to a kid. So I went and bought that.
absolutely.
I listened to it front and back over and over again. And then, you know, we didn't have lights on. You know, I had to do my homework before it got dark, because
Boy
the
got
lights wasn't
dark.
on.
I
Yeah,
know
when the
how that
lights wasn't
is.
on,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it was cool because I had my Walkman, I had my
yeah.
music.
Having
Yeah,
music to
that, and
escape.
I had my music, and I could or listening to the radio. But the Slick Rick tape was really what, like, that was another one. But beyond other tapes and other music, but that was one that I just had on repeat when I was, you know, in
Mhm.
that zone, and it just let me know, like, yeah, MCing is something else. You know, being able to
Yeah,
present your style to people, you know, is a beautiful thing, because everybody's unique in their own way.
absolutely, man. Nah, that's a powerful story, man. Wow. Yeah, man. I could relate to a lot of the things that you said, man. Wow. You know, and before we go, man, I just, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, success. That's one of the questions
Mhm.
that I like to ask, man. And you know, where do you see yourself, like what's next for Kenyatta, man? Like any more movies? And I'm pretty sure a lot more movies, a lot
Mhm.
more books. What's next for you, man?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm doing right now for myself is that, you know, I'm working on a project called Conscious Father, where I'm talking about my own journey with fatherhood, and
Yes, sir.
the relationship journey. You know, it was tentatively named The Diary of a Simp, but I'm going back and forth with that. You know, that's still going to be in there, but I'm just really talking about, like, just being a good father. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? What a father is, and from my aspect, what I've learned, that can help a lot of brothers that are going through, you know, fatherhood,
Yeah.
and are trying to be, you know, the best version of themselves, whether they're in the household or not in the household. I'm working on Thinking Ball Out, trying to film that, which is my first project. That's going to be a big deal to me because, you know, to me, that's my best work, you know, hands down. I love Culture Vultures, but my best work is Thinking Ball Out. because I did that from a place of, it was like a freestyle place. It was like, I just came off the top and we did it. Me and Henny the business, we just did it. We didn't think about it. And so when you go back and listen to that audio book should be up on YouTube. But when you listen to it, you know, I created that project and I came up with the concept for hip hop motivation, that project, the day I got shot. I had left the shop about like an hour. It was about an hour after I came up with the concept for hip hop motivation as well as Thinking Ball Out. And I left there. I was on my way to cut Method Man. And I left there and the dude just started shooting me, you know what I'm saying? And left, you know, kind of basically like tried to leave me for dead. Cops harassed me in that position, you know, and I got out of the hospital with a will to further do what I'm doing now. And so I'm gonna keep pushing with that, and you know, just you know, being a well-known author, you know, just really circulating the things as I learned and circulating these things back to the people that need it. That's the most important thing to me, you know, beyond the money, beyond the accolades and all that stuff, is really for me to be a vessel that can circulate what I've learned and my own opinion of things back to people that may need this information. And that's what it's all about to me.
Thank you, man. And, you know, just in closing, right? Like, let's say there's I'm not going to say me, but let's say there's an author, somebody who wants to become an author, somebody that wants to become a filmmaker, somebody that wants to be able to serve and use their gifts to impact the world, but they're struggling financially, or maybe they haven't made that step to take the step out on faith and to believe in themselves. What's some encouraging words that you would use to motivate them?
Well, anyone that's not motivated with doing a certain thing that they may want to do it, they might have to take another look and see if they're really on the right path, if they're on the path they really truly need to be on. Because, you know, when you love to do something or you actually aspire to do a thing, you're going to do it regardless if there's money coming, or, you know, I don't care if you're working at, you know, Starbucks, McDonald's, or at Howard Hughes, or wherever you're working. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're gonna do that thing if you love it. And Absolutely. So if you're not doing it, that means the love is not all the way there where you need it to be. And so what that means, you're going to be putting money before the service, you know, and that's putting the cart before the horse. You can't put money before the service. You have to think service first in order to serve people. Absolutely. Because the name of the game is service. You know, like I'm looking out my window right now and I'm next door to the parking lot of Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, the new one by LAX, right? They provide a service. They have chicken and waffles. Some people don't eat chicken and waffles. Some people don't eat fried chicken. Some people are vegan, you know, but they provide a service of food, a food service. They don't have everything on the menu that all these other restaurants have, but they serve what they serve. And because of that, they're a staple in California restaurants, and all over the world, people know about Roscoe's. And so it's the same thing with you in business. You have to love what you do first and foremost. And then from there, you start understanding what service you provide. You have to define that within yourself. No one can define that for you, because two authors are not the same. Two barbers are not the same. Some barbers just want to work at a shop. Some barbers want their own shop. Some barbers want to have a supply of products or they want to teach classes. You know, everybody has a different lane, you know, and that's why we never need to look over in someone else's lane too much. Just pay attention to what's calling you within your heart, because the heart frequency is the most powerful frequency we all have. And that's where you should make your decisions. You have to feel it. The feeling frequency is what gets the blessing. If you feel you deserve a thing, you shall have that thing. Now, thinking it is one thing, but the feeling, thinking first. You have to think first. You have to get your mind right first, but then you got to go into a feeling. You got to feel it. You have to feel it, and you have to know it. And then you add willpower to it, you can have it. You know, and that's the root chakra. You got to get that willpower together. That's up under them gonads, what we call in the streets nuts, your balls, your gonads, your testicles. You know, you got to have the will to do it, the will to move forward, man or woman, because man and woman both have the same properties within themselves. They both have the masculine, feminine aspect within themselves. You know, we both have our mothers and have our fathers. All of us are. And so we both have the masculine, feminine frequency within ourselves, and we can utilize those things, those great things within ourselves at any time we get ready. You know, the masculine is the logic, the feminine is the creative. It's the imaginative principle. And so when you put both of them together, you're talking about a real true kingdom within yourself. That's the real relationship, getting in balance with the relationship within yourself. And then from there, then you can move forward and understand what service you're willing to provide. But it's very important to self-define where it is you want to go, what it is you want to do. What do you want to serve? Who do you want to serve? What do you want to be? If you're a chef, what type of chef? Do you want to do catering? What type of service do you want to provide? Who are you? Do you want to work in people's homes? The wealthy? I don't know. There's so many different avenues you could take. Do you want to have a show where you're on YouTube and you're showing people how to cook certain things? It's so many lanes you could take now. And because of the internet, the lanes have been extended. There's so many different lanes you can take. You don't ever have to just sit still and do nothing anymore. Because you sit still and do nothing is because that thing that you think you want to do is not really what you want to do. Because if it was, you would do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's like a relationship. Love is an action. It's a verb. It's not a noun. When people feel a certain way about you, you're going to see it. You don't have to ask. You know what I'm saying? If a woman wants to be with you, she going to be with you. Yep. When a woman wants you, especially when it comes to a young lady, she going to show you she wants you. She going to be there. She going to be on deck. She going to take care. She going to want to know what you ate today. She's going to want to know, are you okay? How do you feel? And the same with you. But we get so mixed up and just, we get tied up in all this old false thinking, these fantasies and all this stuff. But we got to keep it real with ourselves. We have to go within and understand what it is we truly want to do and obtain in our life, and put money to the side. Money, that can happen, man. I've seen myself go from zero to, man, I own houses. I owned my salon when I was in my 20s. I'm talking about I had no clientele, none. But I didn't focus so much on money. And after the fact, when I started making money, but in the beginning, when I was just focused on money, I found myself just not really succeeding. I found myself not getting clientele. I focused on the service, my technique, my service. Yeah, there was a lot of broke times. I had to go get night jobs. I had to go work at UPS, and I quit that. I was like, I don't like working there.
Talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? But understand that there will be dark moments, but you have to focus on the service.
And it seemed like you developed your mind a lot.
Absolutely. The dark times is where you develop. Yep. That's how you develop. Anytime you went through darkness in your life, that's where you develop. Some people went through abuse. The people that went through abuse developed in a different way than myself. I didn't go through abuse. You know what I'm saying? But some people that went through abuse, they developed themselves in different ways. I had a mother that went through certain types of abuse, but she made it her effort and her job not to abuse her children. Yeah. And the same with my father. He went through darkness like that, but we didn't get abused. Me and my sister growing, we didn't get abused because they were from abuse. And they felt the need to break the lines of dysfunction and that chain of dysfunction instead of giving it to us so we could pass it on to our children and our people and whatever. They broke that chain. And that's why we all have the ability to break any chain that we want to break, man. We can get rid of things that weren't really for us in our childhood, our formative years. We can upload new information into this computer up here. The computer is making the likeness and image of the human mind. You know what I'm saying? The formative years are the most important times of our lives. The format of a computer is the most important part of a computer. The format. The operating system is how you operate. We have an operating system. It's like from what we got taught in our formative years by the format, we operate in the world a certain way based on what we were taught, what we learned at home. I don't care if you was in foster care. I don't care who was around. Somebody raised you if you was a child. Something raised you. Unless you was raised by wolves like the movie and TV shows talk about. Other than that, somebody raised you. Somebody had to give you something to move you forward. Whether they gave you a little, whether they gave you a lot, they did the best they could with what they had, but understand you're not a failure. You're not in a position where you can't relearn and remaster yourself. You can upload new software and new information into this mental computer up here. You're not a computer. The computer is like you. You're not like the computer is like you, but you're beyond the computer. Your thinking and your extension is infinite. You can upload new software of information through reading. If you don't like to read, listen to audiobooks. That's what I say. Develop the ears. as you develop the reading. Reading is a muscle. Reading develops your mental muscle. Listening also develops the listening muscle. I mean, the muscle within the listening, taking in information. Listening is also a muscle, as thinking is a muscle, you know, and this is how we develop these things. But there's information, tons of information out there. It's like, there's no reason for anyone not to know anything in this day and age, man. There's so much information. And because there's so much information, and if you're a person that is just lingering in ignorance, is because the first beginning of the word ignorance is the word ignore. You ignore the information that is there for you. That's why it's called ignorance. You have a lack of knowledge because you choose to ignore the information that is around you to develop you. There's no excuse nowadays not to be great at anything. So many people became before us that did it. You can go, that's why I love watching documentaries. That's my thing. I like documentaries. That's why I put together The Secret to Balling. Some people slept on it, some people didn't. The people that
success leaves clues.
Listen, the people that saw it, blessings to you, because you just saw something that came from the heart. And these people that expressed themselves told their story, and what you saw, that my brother Kaba gave the same example as a Snoop Dogg, and a Dr. Beckwith gave the same example as a Redman. How does this happen? Because success leaves clues, as you just said. It leaves clues, and it's all connected, man. It's interconnected. We're all connected to the same source of power, which some people call God, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it, Buddha, whatever you call it. But we're all connected to the same source of power. What Michael Jordan has, you can have, if you want it. If you're going into basketball and then you want that power and you want that information he had to get to that level, whether it was Kobe Bryant, you can have it. You can have it. Ask for it. That's the first step. Ask, and it shall be given. That's my mantra. That's what I live by. And that's the reason why, you know, you see these people in the movie that I did. It wasn't so much on me cutting hair, it was because I asked. You know, ask and it shall be given. And then what is not given, it just wasn't for you. Don't feel nothing about somebody saying no. And for men out there, test it out in the streets. Say something to a young lady, and if you get offended because she don't speak back, you're not on the path yet. You have to develop yourself not to care what no one thinks. You have to develop yourself to not care if she doesn't speak. She's not interested in you. So what? Who cares? I mean, you should be looking for choosing signals anyway, seeing if she, you know, putting yourself in the position to be seen or whatever, and seeing if she is giving you some feedback, eyes with her eye contact, whatever. But other than that, you know, just practice asking, practice going beyond yourself and doing something that's not so-called normal to you. Go outside the norm and develop yourself that way. Because at the end of the day, you know, the only thing promised to all of us is death. We all got a date. So why not be great with all the time you do have, no matter what that time is? Be great today. Starting today, put forth the effort to be a better version of yourself every single day. That's what I do. That's why you see me sweating and looking crazy on those videos I put up on Instagram working out, because to me, it's very important for me to become a better version of myself every single day. Even when I make mistakes, it's important to me to sit back before I go to sleep, analyze my day. Yeah, I didn't really like I did that. You know, I'm an apologetic person, even when I do things. You know what I'm saying? I had a disagreement with a family member. And, you know, I just looked at my end of the disagreement, and I had to call that person and apologize to them because I was out of character. Not so much apologizing for what they did, because what they did, that's their business. Now, if they feel like they don't want to apologize or give me feedback on what they've done, it's none of my business. My business is me.
Accountable for yourself.
We're responsible for our individual selves. Your business is you. So in order to become a better version of yourself, there has to be a form of accountability that takes place. Responsibility, accountability, it equals growth. You cannot grow if you're not accountable, period. You're going to keep seeing the same person over and over again doing the same thing because they're not accountable. They choose not to take responsibility for their actions. They choose not to critique themselves. They choose not to fall back and say, damn, I'm wrong for that. You know, pride keeps you away from that a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? But it's very important to become accountable, because the only way that the true truth seekers grow is through accountability. That's what it's all about, man. Just be accountable for your actions, be accountable for yourself, be responsible for yourself. And in turn, circulate anything you learn back to people, when you get a chance, man. It's all about circulation. Everything that circulates is thriving and living, and it's vibrating at a higher speed and a higher level. The things that are not circulating die, as we know with bodies of water.
Yes, sir.
If a body of water stops circulating, it dies. So let yourself be a instrument to be used by the Most High to give people information, no matter what it is, man. Whatever you learn, circulate it back, man. Don't look so much like if I give it to them, I give them the game on this, they gonna pass me up. Everybody got their lane, man. Some people may pass
Share the
you.
game. Mm-hmm.
Some people may pass you, but who cares? It just wasn't your time at that time. Share the game, share the information. Don't be a gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Give it up. Not saying that you have to give everybody all your contacts, whatever it may be, but at the same time, if you're in a position to help someone, help someone. Like, for instance, I didn't know that was you with that flyer, but that's just how I am. But that's how I am as on a regular basis. I don't care nothing about that. I'm like, shit. I'm for anybody trying to come up, whatever, regardless, because I know how I am. You know what I'm saying? I support people because I support myself. I like myself. I'm in tune with myself. I like the projects I put out. I can live with myself, how I treat people, because I'm accountable. I stay accountable. That's
how you stay blessed. That's how you stay blessed, man. You give and you shall receive. What you do for others, you'll get back in return.
I agree. Absolutely, that's how it is, man. It's a circulatory process, brother. What you give yourself, you give others. What you don't do for yourself is damn hard to give to other people.
Oh, man.
You're not giving it to yourself.
Yeah, we talk about love and stuff, but if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else.
Nah. That's why, the beginning of like going on relationship game, the beginning of relationships for man or woman is pay attention to how that person treats themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And not that fake how I treat myself, just that surface stuff. I'm talking about the inner work. We're talking about the inner work. When people tell you they're going to counseling or to a psychiatrist and talking to people, that's something that's actually dope, because a lot of people don't, they have too much pride to do that. Some people don't feel like they need to go sit down and share their innermost thoughts with people. Yeah. Because you got to remember, a lot of us come from victims. Victims create victims, and people, our parents and people that we around, they did the best they could with what they had, what they knew, because they were taught from someone else in their formative years. So how could you really get mad because you didn't get a certain thing from your parent? That's folly. That's stupid. Because at the end of the day, everybody learns at different times and different things at different times, man. Like abuse, the abuser was once abused. Until they break the lines of dysfunction and say, you know what, I'm not going to abuse my children. I come from that, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of other people that come from that. But on the other side, there's people that don't come from that. And that's unfortunate. And that's why it's very important for us to help people, love people, care about people, man. The most important word that we all can look into is the word called care. Not so much love, but care. Because love is inevitable, man. Source energy loves you. It wants what you want. But I'm talking about care. Care is a generative principle that brings forth everything we care about. It brings something forth, regardless. It's always going to bring something forth. If you care enough about something, it will change. If you don't care about something, that will change as well. There's a high road and a low road, and a darkness and a light road to care. The things you care about, if it's something negative you care about, you're just going to expand it. When you stop caring about certain negative things, it will go away. It become minuscule. It becomes, it's like swatting at a fly. After a while, you swatting at the flies, keeps flying in your face, sitting on your food, touching your mouth, landing on your nose. But then when you leave it alone and you just let it go off and fly and kill itself or something, that's how it happens, But and I'm not saying negative things to not care about or say something health-wise with yourself, your physical body, because that also can be a detriment to you. You got to care about yourself. You got to care about yourself. You got to pay attention to the little things you feel and care and see what's going on. Go to a doctor, go, get certain herbs, say, certain things you need to take. Because I believe in both sides of the fence when it comes to, metaphysics. I believe in the physical aspect and the spiritual aspect of things.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. You can break your arm, it will heal, but it's very important that you go to a doctor and get that arm set in the cast so it can heal the right way. You see what I'm saying? So you know, that's just where I'm at, man. I just believe in the balance of life, man, and that, you know, everything's based on care. You know, the care principle is very important, man. Just, you know, be empathetic and care about people, man. Just care. Yeah.
Man, Mr. Kenyatta, Mr. Griggs, bro. Like, now, first of all, thank you so much for that food for thought in that gym. If whoever listens to this, if you don't take something away from this conversation, I don't know what to tell you. You got to play it one more time, two more times, three more times, man. This has been a powerful conversation, bro. And one, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy and your spirit, bro. I feel like this was a very impactful conversation, man. And it's a lot to break away from this, man. Just thank you so much for this opportunity, bro.
Anytime, brother, man. Just hit me up, man. We can do it whenever, man. Just let me know.
Absolutely, definitely got to do something again, man. And for the people that may want to find you, bro, where can they connect with you?
Well, they can hit me up on my email is hiphopmotivation01@gmail.com. I'm usually on Instagram more than anything else. It's at hip_hop_motivator. And I'm on Facebook as Kenyatta Griggs. I'm more on Instagram than anything else. But, you know, they can hit me up. My YouTube page is Hip Hop Motivation YouTube page. I'm about to start putting videos up again, get back on it. Like I said, I took a break for a minute because I had some personal things I had to get in alignment first with my family. But self-preservation. So I had to do that. But it's back on, man. Just, you know, the website is www.myhiphopmotivation.com, where you can get the books, the products.
Can they book you to speak or anything like that? Cause boy,
absolutely, yeah. You can hit me up at hiphopmotivation01@gmail.com. Definitely. Okay. And I do consultations. So I got one in about an hour. So I do those as well. So if you want one of those, or you want to speak and you want to get some good information, you know, from the basis of the spiritual path, you know, hit me up at hiphopmotivation01@gmail. Definitely, man. I appreciate you, man.
Nah, it's been an honor and a pleasure, bro. I'm glad that we was able to do this, man. Thank you so much.